我が名はマゴイチ。この名こそがサイカが期待し戦場の実力たち。人心ガシャガラス。
Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a guide for Saika Magoichi, a 4-star archer who's the welfare servant for the new Guda Guda event. She's also got a guns-to-body ratio that would make Doomguy blush. But you know, we've already got a couple of welfare archers in our roster. So the big question is, does Magoichi have what it takes to dethrone her predecessors, or will she have to go back to her day job at the ACPU? Let's find out. Let's start with her noble phantasm, Jushin Yatagarasu. This is a single-target quick attack that applies 3 turns of crit damage reduction. Its overcharge is a single turn of a preemptive quick/buster buff. The lack of any kind of specialized damage is unfortunate, but expected for an offensive welfare like Magoichi. The card type buff not ramping also sucks, but if you layer her other cards behind this NP, they do receive the bonus for some extra punch. Compared to Altera the Santa, Magoichi's Noble Phantasm is a bit weaker when they both have their buffs up, but Altera has a bit of an issue where her NP damage buff only lasts for a single turn. This is where Magoichi can make up ground. Her second skill, Saika-style rifle drawing art, is a 3-turn quick buster and crit damage buff. This complements her kit nicely and means that she can maintain some threat outside of her NP turns. At the high end, you will notice a fair bit of overlap with what Summer Scotty provides. But until you hit that point of running double Summer Scotty, you do get a nice cocktail of effects to complement the accessible supports. Magoichi's other skills don't affect your Noble Phantasm's damage, but instead focus on a mix of crits and utility. Firefly Fire is a single turn evade, taunt, and defensive NP gain effect. It also gives her 20% charge regardless of her skill level. 20% is very unfortunate because 30 is the point you gain some meaningful options in your turn 1 setup. But the taunt combo is nice. A lot of single-target servants don't get a huge amount of chargeback just for firing off their NP, meaning your refund varies a lot depending on your card RNG. This package makes your opponent pitch in. Lastly, Yatagarasu gives 3 turns of sure hit for her and crit damage for her whole party. As a nice bonus, it comes with a 30 star dump. Good stuff, though the star dump tragically overlaps with Summer Scotty's turn 1 plays. Great up until you get one of your own though. One serendipitous thing is that Sure Hit on archers actually becomes more valuable once the Grand Archer duel comes out. This is a fight against Gilgamesh that forces you to build an archer monotype team. And also forces you to buy a better phone, holy shit! One of the Grand class core mechanics for it gives you additional damage if your servant has Sure Hit. While it is possible to get this effect externally with Summer Osakabe Hime, servants that have it naturally gain flexibility in team building. Another bit of serendipity is that as a quick servant, Magoichi has excellent synergy with Summer Tiamat, the best support for Grand Archer duels. She buffs both quick and art servants, but her Noble Phantasm is quick. Consequently, you chain double Tiamat NPs in the Jushin Yatagarasu to get a guaranteed quick chain and receive its associated damage boost, another Archer Grand Score mechanic. Now this isn't to say that Magoichi is some sort of secret weapon for Grand duels. Anyone who's played through Camelot knows there's a pretty fearsome 3-star with a degree in CBT. She's the go-to for poor friends. Instead, my point is that Saika friends have a pretty decent platform if they choose to commit hard. Would I recommend that for the average player? No, but I would recommend keeping your copy in fighting shape until you get a premium general use archer like Bavan Shi up to a comparable NP level. That's really Magoichi's strength. She's a generic and easily accessible servant that doesn't need multiple high-end supports to perform her basic role. A new player who gets her from the event or vacation can pair her with the free waiver and a friendless Summer Scotty to dish out some damage. And because her buffs last for multiple turns, she provides more consistent turn-to-turn damage than her other evocation rivals, Chloe and Altera. Having used both of those extensively, I can say their downtime was pretty rough in some of the Heian-kyo fights for instance. Once you get your in-game supports, you can jump ship to a better attacker or fully commit to Magoichi, accepting a lower ceiling in exchange for availability. To arm your new COD protagonist, you should go with Black Rail for raw damage and Traces of Christmases Past until you get it. Not a whole lot of reason to deviate from the obvious. For command codes, you can start with crit damage codes until you hit your endgame build, at which point I'd recommend playing it by ear with utility codes or specialized damage. I'll also note that Magoichi has an anti-berserker append, which is nice if you plan to use Saika for things besides saber killing. For proper play, it's nice that Magoichi has an evade, but a part of me is a little sad that this servant with a 30 star dump, party crit buff, and taunt can't reliably get herself off the field without help. Now I love bringing esports servants up, in no small part because a specific breed of FGO player gets incredibly butt-mad anytime you even bring up the idea of keeping servants deliberately below their max level. But it's a tough sell with Magoichi. You could give her a poster girl or outrage, maybe keep her at level 1 to guarantee a swift exit. More of a meme than a necessity if you ask me. So if you have an interest in the dark arts, maybe you should wait till she shows up in the evocation shop. Take care of your original Magoichi, then get a level 1 clone for mischief. or spare parts if you want a House of the Scorpion it. Overall, Saika Magoichi is a functional servant who has little appeal to longtime players waiting for Babanji's buff, but she gives you a lot right off the bat, and given that you get access to her event right after completing Fuyuki, your average newbie's set up to get a lot of mileage out of a character like this, assuming they're around for a release anyway. But Evocation does let the late friends among us play catch up down the road. Thanks for watching, lads. I'll be playing Jackbox with subscribers on Saturday and doing the NAGSSR on Sunday over at twitch.tv/Finotaisen. Also subscribe if you want to get more servant guides and event guides. Already got some for Guda Guda and Takeda Shingen. See you next time.